Welcome on to the Tortillas and Takes podcast. You are on once again with your boy, I'll be sure, the only podcast not taking away grants from Texas Tech. JK, just kidding. And football season is here. We're ready to start, ready to get to it, ready to get at it. And not just that, but there's a little bit of something to celebrate. We've been doing this for a long time here, guys. We are the longest running continuous Texas Tech podcast ever. Actually, we've been saying it active, but I think we crossed the jumped the shark. I think we jumped the shark a while ago. We are the longest running Texas Tech podcast. We've been doing this now. This is our 10th season. Big 1-0, 10th season. And so with that, in our 10th season, and we will, on the actual day that it is our 10-year anniversary, we hope to be able to bring some people back on. But I do want to give a shout out to certain people that have been able to have this going all along from the very beginning. Back when it was the Air Raid podcast, if y'all remember, back when we were on Viva the Matadors, back when we were on SB Nation, all that jazz. So starting off with shout out to Ryan Smith, AV Coach Smith, who really got this thing kicked off. Him and Jonathan did a great job of kicking this off. And I like to think that we took that baton and made it a little bit better. And so I know I started on the podcast in 2017, working with Jonathan and Ryan. They kind of showed me the podcasting ropes. I really appreciate them for that. And then me and Dylan Smythe, right? We were the next co-host. We took it and ran with it in 2018, the 2018 season. And then we brought on this knucklehead on a few shows. The chemistry was amazing when it was me, Dylan, and this knucklehead. And we said, you know what? We got to bring this guy on full time. And that knucklehead is the guy the people's champ that is Jeremy Gillen. What's up, Jeremy?
What up? How be 10 years? 10 years of podcasting is one. I wonder how many make it past the 5-year mark, to make it this far, man. That's impressive. And we have nobody to thank but Texas Tech Red Raiders for keeping it interesting enough to keep us coming back.
That is true.
Through thick and thin, through scandal and through semi-success.
Well, I'll say thing with like Texas Tech is a university of podcast you. Right? There's so many podcasts that come through Texas Tech, but you're right, though. It's so difficult to keep it going for a long time, continuously and consecutively. We were talking the other day about a certain podcast that we're friends of the pod. We like them. They like us. But they haven't done an episode in like a year, right? Because it's tough. People move on. People have lives. I mean, Jeremy, we've become even better friends doing this podcast. We were already pretty good friends writing. I think doing the podcast, we become even better friends, and so, I mean, I've been potting with you longer than 2 of my kids being born. You know what I mean? You didn't know your wife. You did not. You've been potting longer than you've known your wife.
That's crazy.
There's another joke in there that I will not say for public consumption, but like. It's kind of crazy overall in general how long we've been doing this, and then not only that, I know I mentioned Dylan and Ryan and Jonathan. Also, shout out to Kenzie Garcia, another host that's been on the podcast, as well as Joe Lopez. That brings us to 7 official Air Raid podcasts and Tortillas and Takes hosts over the 10 years. We couldn't have done this without all 7 of them, as well as countless numbers of guests, and that were too many to name, that have been incredible guests, recurring guests, multiple guests that have been able to help us with all types of sports, and bringing Texas Tech and Big 12 news in general. So, but like Jeremy said, shout out to y'all, the people that listen to us. As much as my wife would say that I like to talk to the void, it's glad to know that there's not just the void on the other side. People are actually listening. They like us. You like us. You really like us. So yeah.
You have to trust us now that we're the longest running active Texas Tech podcast. We literally, by the numbers, are the wisest podcast out there. So
I mean, we didn't say smartest. just said wisest.
We've seen some stuff.
You know what's funny? I don't know if you remember this. Years ago, somebody subtweeted us and was like getting slandered. I guess they thought we were talking about them, and they were like getting slandered by people in their mid-30s, this, that, and the other. I was like, we're not in our mid-30s. We're young and spry. Now look at it, Jeremy.
Damn,
that same insult would hit different.
It would hit right in the knees.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. That's wild. Oh man.
So yeah, we'll talk more about this 10-year celebration here. 10 years in doing podcasts. Like you said, Jeremy, I mean, it's shout out to Texas Tech for being interesting. Because let me tell you something, we win some, we lose some, but it's going to be interesting. I don't know too many. I mean, like college sports is one where it's always interesting. Sports in general is always interesting. I don't know too many universities that's this interesting. Like I look at Alabama, right? And I have some friends that went to Alabama, the big Alabama. They're legit Alabama fans, not just people that are from the state or people that are on the bandwagon. They grew up in Alabama, Alabama fans, went to the university, still die hard. And when I hear them complain about their complaints, I'm like, man, y'all just got such a luxury. You know what I mean? Y'all over here whining and complaining because you lost 3 games, right? Try going 6 seasons with having to rely on your third string quarterback consistently. Try that in a row. Okay? Try that. Try being happy that your defense is ranked at 90th. Okay? Make it interesting, Alabama. All right. That's just football.
It's just football. Yeah. So we got layers out here, people. We got layers. We got
layers. So speaking of football, if you were listening to our last podcast, usually when we do these season previews, it's you're on the edge of your seat. What are these guys going to predict by the season end? Or by the episode end? What are these guys going to say? What are they going to do? What do they think about Texas Tech? And though you still have to be on the edge of your seat to figure out what our record prediction will be, you kind of already know where our head's at as far as how far the team is going. Both Jeremy and myself predicted Texas Tech to win the Big 12. Jeremy chickened out on a national championship answer, but you at the very least know with me we're going to win the Big 12. I have us winning the Big 12, but I don't have us winning the night. You know that. You know we're somewhere in the middle there. All right. But both Jeremy and I did pick Texas Tech to win the Big 12 and to go to the college football playoff. I don't feel great about it. And not because I don't feel great about this team, but because I don't feel it's weird. It's so weird to pick Texas Tech winning. I was joking with the Longhorn podcast at Texas because them being like maybe the only reasonable Texas fans in the world, they find it very weird to have a team that they're also confident in. But they're like, man, this team is actually really good and talented. I don't know how to feel about this. That I actually believe in them. And I'm like, buddy, same. I don't know how to feel about this. That I actually truly believe in this team. So yeah. But Jeremy, what are your first thoughts about this Texas Tech team?
Texas Tech is the ultimate wild card in college football. Certainly in the Big 12, but in college football right now. I mean, you look at if we're just looking, and we kind of did a Big 12, looking at the Big 12 generally in the last podcast, but if you look at the Big 12, I mean, you think about teams like Arizona State and Baylor, who we're kind of saying, yeah, pretty much top of that kind of top third of good teams this year. With their high number of returning starters, like they're known, like we know what to expect. With Texas Tech, you're kind of putting them in that same league, completely different, right? No clue. You went and recruited 13 4-star transfers. Like you got 13 4-star transfers coming in, which is more still than the entire Big 12 accumulatively, more than the entire Big 12. That combined, that's insane. So it's the biggest wild card, but like you said, so exciting because there's so much to be gained from we basically looked at where we were coming up short the past couple of seasons and just and this all started off of the let's get an O-line. Okay, so we did. Got a couple of dudes. But now we also was Howard Sampson, Will Jadis, Hunter Zambrano. But it was like, let's not stop there. Why don't we just keep going? Why not just keep, you know what? The money's still flowing. Let's keep going. And 13 later, now you got everybody going, what the hell is going on in Lubbock, Texas? People want to write articles. People want to have interviews. They want to talk about, how Texas Tech is ruining college football. So we're the center of attention. And it's really weird. But I like it because it's like, I like you. I believe in Harvey Dent. Like, I believe that this team could get it done, right? And that's really scary. But it's like this, I've never had this exact feeling, is what I'm trying to say, where it's like I have high expectations, but I'm not scared of it because I believe this team has the talent and the coaching to do it.
Yeah, well, here's the thing about Harvey Dent is he's two-faced. So
hey, that's exactly right, buddy. Good catch.
Yeah. So which Texas Tech are we going to get? It's so I mentioned in the last pod, like these guys don't have the stench of Tech past. They don't nobody on this team knows what it's like to lose. Nobody on this team knows what it's like to be on a losing team. I mean, everybody looks at year 2 with Joey McGuire as this big failure. We still not only had a winning record for the season, we had a winning record in conference, right? Nobody on this team has been part of a losing team. And so with that, I mean, we talk about the stench of Texas Tech, but like nobody should have the stench of Texas Tech. They've only been successful. Now the question is, it's one thing to just be on a winning team, to be on an 8-win team. It's a completely different thing to be on a 10+ win team competing for a Big 12 championship and all that. And I think last year, this team got a taste of what that could look like, right? Despite the Washington State loss, this team was 1 game away from Arlington, right? I always point to the TCU game last year as a game of like, that was really the only game, in my opinion, that we lost that we should have won. Some people point to Colorado. I think we got outplayed in Colorado. We definitely got outplayed in Baylor, sign stealing or not. I don't care. We got outplayed in Baylor. So, like, and then, of course, Wazoo. But I look at TCU and I'm like, that's a game we had. That was a game we had. We should have won it. If we win that game, we're in Arlington, right? So I think all those players that were here last year are like, man, we know we're right there. We know the TCU game we should have won. Hell, even the Colorado game, even if I think that the Colorado may have played it, it was right there neck and neck. We were balling against Colorado. So that's 2 games right there that you say to yourself, if you're a player, we could have won both of those games, right? And so you're right there. You see how close you are. And then you get the big hog mollies in the transfer portal class. Then you get the Howard Sampsons. You get the David Baileys. You get the Skylar Gill Howards, right? You get the Cole Wisniewskis. You get all these guys, and now you're like, whoo. So we are already pretty good. We were already a team that's I think they take a quick aside. That's the thing to me is that this team already was probably going to compete for a Big 12 championship.
Mm-hmm.
Like without the transfer portal class, this team was already saying we were 1 game away. Like this team was already trending towards a 9-win season next year. And then we pulled off a top 2 transfer portal class. So now you're like, well, this is different. Now we're cooking.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start off, Jeremy. This is all fun and games, but let's be real. Some things got to worry. So what's your biggest worry and concern on this team offensively?
I know that we went out and got an offensive line, but I'm worried about the offensive line playing well together and playing healthy, or staying healthy, excuse me. Just naturally, as a Texas Tech fan, haven't had a good offensive line for some time, right? I mean, we had Vince Scurry last year was like, hey, this guy's going to be really good and all that jazz, and then he has a season-ending injury. It's like, damn, I can't have anything nice. But you got a lot of guys coming back. So Sheridan Wilson, Vinny Scurry, like I said, Howard Sampson, Jadis, Zambrano. You've got a host of like good protection stat kind of guys coming together. Now we have a different offensive coordinator, and so the scheme's going to look a lot different. But that does play to our benefit whenever we've got these guys at the same time. Because, like, hey, new playbook. It's not like everybody's having to learn something new, or you guys are coming into the whole thing, but we're all learning together. So, but with that being said, I think this team 100%. The success of this team falls on the offensive line. Because if this offensive line is injury-ridden midway through the season, if they're just not gelling together, if people are not picking up assignments, if we're having a hard time with the playbook, by the time we get to Utah, I'm not optimistic. Because, we talked about how having an average offensive line is just really all we need in order for Behren Morton to have a good season. So if we have a less than average offensive line after what we've, if this whole thing started off, go buy an offensive line, and your offensive line is the thing that falls apart first, oh, buddy, that'd be a really disappointing turn of events.
Yeah. Well, I think one thing that makes me feel good about the offensive line is we have something this year, I believe, that we've never had before. Since maybe 2008, which is depth. We've never had depth in the offensive line. You talked about Hunter Zambrano and Vinny Skiri and their injuries that they're fighting back from. Those are two guys that probably would have started. Are fighting back from injuries. Didn't necessarily get to participate. Didn't participate in spring at all. I don't think either one of them did. And then both of them were still fighting back in fall camp. And so what it did is it laid way for people like Will Jettos and Jacob Ponton to get more reps, more time. So those guys, those guys will be the starters. But now you got Vinny Skiri and Hunter Zambrano off the bench. You got Daniel Sill, who has a wealth of experience just all throughout in his career coming off the bench. He played a lot last year, right? You have Davian Carter, who was supposed to come in as a center initially. Now he's over at guard. He's able to kind of play in. So now, I think for the first time, we go 8 deep. There's to me, in my opinion, there's 8 starters on this team at the O-line position, which I don't think I've ever been able to say that. Most years it's like, well, we got 3 guys we trust and a couple guys I don't know. This year we have a blindside tackle in Howard Sampson and 4 very good starting offensive linemen, and then some depth as well, just in case somebody goes out, somebody's tired, somebody's not playing well. Hey, Jacob Ponton, you're not stepping up, young man. I know you a mammoth human being, 6'8", 300+ pounds, but hey, Zambrano, you're gonna step in for. If stuff like that happens, it happens. But we have depth, and I don't think we've ever had depth before, so that makes me giddy on the offensive line side there. But it definitely is something to be worried about. I think as long as we've been Tech fans, we've always been worried about the O-line. To me, I know everybody fell in love with Mac Leftwich, right? Yeah, Mac Leftwich is the guy. He's amazing. He's great. Texas State's offense was just been incredible last couple of years. All that. I am pessimistic about any new coaches. I'm just pessimistic about coaches in general. Always have been. You got to prove it to me. I'm still not sure Joey McGuire is a great coach. The proof is in the pudding that Joey McGuire has had success at Texas Tech, especially comparatively. He's the most successful coach we've had since Mike Leach. And actually his first 3 years are comparable to Mike Leach's first 3 years. So that makes him have one of the best starts in Texas Tech history. So I'm not necessarily saying he's bad at all. Yeah. He's also made some very boneheaded decisions as a head coach. So I'm not convinced that Joe McGuire is a head coach. So take my pessimism in coaching for what it is. It's pessimism. But with that being said, I got to see Mac Leftwich do it, right? Remember, everybody hated Zach Kelly, but Zach Kelly was the hottest name in coaching whenever he was hired, right? If you remember, Jeremy, Sonny Cumbie was hired. You and I were more on the Sonny Cumbie train because he's been here, did that, done that. Everybody else is like, yeah, but my real number one is Zach Kelly, right? So, and then when we got it, everybody was ecstatic until 2 games into the season. So, so with Mac Leftwich, it's the same thing. Texas Tech, I think we're very hard on offensive coordinators in general because we've seen amazing offenses. Mike Leach and Cliff Kingsbury has spoiled us when it comes to offenses. So we are a little bit tougher on Neil Brown, for example, in my opinion, was a very good offensive coordinator. He just wasn't Mike Leach. Yeah. You know what I mean? He just wasn't Mike Leach. People were complaining about the screens. I'm like, dude, everybody in the country does screens. Yeah. What is it about Texas Tech screens that are so terrible? but he's not Mike Leach. He's not Cliff Kingsbury. And so maybe that for Mac Leftwich is the beauty of it, is that you get to come in after, Zach Kitley and after Matt Wells and after, some guys that weren't necessarily the greatest. But if you ask me, Sonny Cumbie was the greatest. Now, David Yost wasn't. He sucked. But but Cumbie and Kitley both had their positives. So what can Leftwich do? What can Leftwich do to improve an offense that was fourth in the country last year? We put up almost 38 points a game last year. That's a lot of points. Can Leftwich improve on that? Or hell, I'll even say he doesn't even have to improve. Can he keep that standard up? Right. So that's kind of my concern offensively. Kind of sticking on the offense here because we did get the week 1 depth chart, and typically the week 1 depth chart is the season depth chart. So Baron Morton, starting quarterback, no surprises there. Will Hammond coming out as the number 2 with Mitch Griffiths as the number 3. As we've seen before, we really don't know who the second string is until the first string goes down. That typically tells us who the real second string is. I have heard actually some interesting things about Mitch Griffiths from camp, but I would expect Will Hammond to come in if something was to happen. At running back, we got Cam Dickey or Jacoby Williams. I mean, again, no surprise there. It's going to be the two-headed monster. Adam Hill coming in as that third string there to play mop-up duty, but I expect it to be Dickey or Williams almost every time you see a number out there. If Adam Hill is out there, it's probably a passing play. And probably an obvious passing down. Like, not even, we ain't even disguising this. It's 3rd and 15, maybe Adam Hill is there to block. And so at tight end, your position right here, we have John Carlos Miller or Terrence Carter. Again, no surprise there. Both of those guys have been running with the ones all spring and fall camp. Both of them are weapons, right? Both of them are big and athletic. So absolutely no surprise. Jason Llewellyn there at third. Receiver, a little bit more interesting. So with excuse me, oh my goodness, with the Mac Leftwich offense, more 3 receiver sets. I know we're more used to 4 receiver sets, but I do expect tight end to be used even more with Mac Leftwich and more 3 receiver sets. And so with that, our outside receivers are Reggie Virgil and Caleb Douglas, right? I expect big things from C-Doug this year. I think he's extremely underrated, maybe the most underrated receiver in the conference. I think so much so that I actually, my bold prediction, you ready for this, Jeremy?
I'm ready.
Caleb Douglas will be a day 2 pick in the NFL draft.
Is that okay? Is that bold?
He's not showing up at all as of right now. To me, he will be a day 2 NFL draft pick. That's how good he's going to be. So that is my bold prediction right now for him. Coy Eakin at the slot spot because that's his. I might as well call that the Coy position. I mean, ain't nobody taking that from him. But again, receivers. Some of the backups we have one backup you might be familiar with, Micah Hudson, backup at that X position. I honestly expect him to be kind of that first sub on the outside. Really at all 3 positions. He played at all 3. First sub at the all 3. Behind those 4 guys, though, receiver kind of slim, right? Leighton Stone, Tyson Turner, Roy Alexander. We do see Kelby Valson, but he's a little bit further on the depth chart than I expected. TJ West, Bryson Jones, Bryce Morgan. We're thin at receiver after those 4. Now, last year, we didn't have to go into the depths of our receiving ranks. We kind of saw what you saw, right, until Coy Eakin went out. But this year, I kind of think it's going to be kind of the same. I think you're going to see a lot of those 4 guys in Douglas, Eakin, Virgil, and Hudson. And after those 4, we just won't see that many receivers, especially with the amount of tight ends that we have with Miller and Carter. I think we'll see more 2 tight end sets than anything else. And then I already mentioned the O-line. So any other thoughts about the offense there?
Nothing really surprising outside of the fact that you lose Quentin Joyner and that kind of shuffles things around in the running back. But, we already talked about it ad nauseum, so I'm just going to hammer it one last time that you entered this season with a really explosive back in Jacoby, and then you have a really great through the tackles back in Cam Dickey, and it's just like, we were set before we got Quentin Joyner, so we're still set.
Still set. But we do get a little thinner. That's all it is. You kind of just really a running back with Joyner going down, you just lose the depth that you had before. That's really all it is. But Anyways, let's go to the defensive side of the ball. So, concerns about defense. Any worries you got there?
How do you take a last in the nation, pretty much passing defense, and make it not that? The way that so we lost some good depth, or we lost some good people at defensive backs. We've lost some good defensive backs, and I think that I don't know. This is my biggest fear on the defense is just, are we going to get torched again? We have such a great line. We have such a great linebacking core. How are people like Chapman Lewis, AJ McCarty, which AJ McCarty had some great games last season for sure. Marion Horn, a lot of people are really high on, right? But how are guys like that going to step up, when you lose people like CJ Baskerville and Braylon Lux? But don't forget, we have Cole Wazowski from North Dakota State. Let D1 in interceptions. So, we're getting what was his name? Had that big interception against Texas.
AJ McCarty?
No. Years ago, white guy. Remember?
Oh, yeah. I know you're talking about.
Great ball hawk. But we've not really had a guy like that to that extreme of
So, do all white DBs get compared to each other? Is that what it is?
There's not many of them out there. We kind of group them together like a petty zoo. But the defensive backs, all in all, just like safeties and corners, how are we going to establish ourselves differently than we did last year? Which is, everybody likes to pick on Texas Tech in the passing game. We had to really rely on, chaos, and we had to rely on some poor passing decisions. I was watching the Arizona game, and we got lucky with some of Fafita's choices in that game, and so defensive backs for me.
Which Fafita was listed as one of the returning Big 12 quarterbacks, but not Baron Morton. I was like, okay.
I saw that list. I think a lot of people saw that list.
He was the only one that I was like, come on, bro. He was the only one that I was like, all right, if you're not going to put Baron, you're going to put Fafita. A year ago, maybe, but now? So, Jeremy, what university is this again?
Which one? We are? Texas Tech?
No, we are? Yeah, Texas
University
Tech University. Texas Tech University. The worry will always be the secondary.
That's right, baby.
Always. Always. I don't care what we've done in the transfer portal. The worry will always be the secondary. And a lot of people are very high on Cole Wazowski. He is a ball hawk. You are absolutely right. I'm being pessimistic out a little bit, man. It's North Dakota State.
Yeah, it's true.
North Dakota State. Reggie Virgil's coming from Miami, Ohio. And even that's going to be a little bit of a jump, but we've seen that. Right? You balled out a level below, you can continue to ball out, right? A jump from MAC in the Big 12 is a jump, but you live and you learn. You adjust, right? D2 or D1 or FCS, sorry, not D2, FCS, right? So you're going from FCS with a loaded stacked team. Here's the thing about North Dakota State is that your teammates are better than the other team. Your D-line that you play with will almost always be better than the other side. There's only 2 or 3 teams that can mess with you, right? When you're at North Dakota State. So life is easier, right? A good example of this to me is Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. What they were doing at Jackson State was impressive, no doubt about it. It was so much more impressive when they did it over at Colorado, right?
Yeah.
Because at Jackson State, it's, hey, we're so much better than ever. Their talent they had at Jackson State was so much better than Arkansas Pine Bluff, so much better than Texas Southern at the time, so much better than the other teams that they were playing. So it wasn't Shedeur Sanders was playing behind the best O-line in the conference. He was playing with the best receivers in the conference. So life was easier, right? When they went to Colorado, it was more impressive because Shedeur Sanders is now running for his life at Colorado. Now you play behind the worst O-line in the conference. Welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Travis Hunter, now you're getting double teamed because you don't have another receiver on the other side, even though Colorado actually has some talent on the receiving side. But still, that's my point. So with Newski, and I'm not saying he's not talented. I think he's very talented, but I want to see that jump. That's making 2-3 jumps. And, it's not, you're not playing on the Alabama of the FCS. And so that's just talking about Wisniewski. I mean, listen. we all liked Tim DeRuyter last year, or the last 3 years he was here. We liked him as a person. We thought he was a smart defensive coordinator, but I mentioned it last year. He just couldn't overcome the lack of talent we had on defense. We didn't have a lot of talent on defense, and we ranked 133rd in the passing defense last year. 130. We have 308 yards a game, Jeremy. We had a big, and a lot of that wasn't just because the secondary was trash. Mind you, it was. But a lot of that was we had no pressure on the quarterback. So I think I will say I think that's checked off. I am fully confident in this defensive line. I think that is checked off. I do not. I think if Shield Wood will be able to do what he likes to do, which is rush 4 and still get to the quarterback, right?
Yeah.
So it should make secondary play a little bit easier, but how much easier, right? Cole Wisniewski is, I believe, the only new starter. Everybody else was here last year. Marion Horn was here last year. Brendan Jordan was here last year. Bryce Pollock was here last year. AJ McCarthy, all the guys fighting at the star position was here last year. So what can we – actually, the only other guy that's a transfer is Amir Boyd, right? Mm-hmm. So it just – I am a little bit worried about the secondary. I will say, though all these guys were here, that's the great thing about college football is that that's usually a good thing. They have another year to progress. They get better, smarter. Marion Horn was a 4-star recruit, if y'all remember him. He was he had one of my favorite, if not my favorite, tape out of his draft class. I've been excited to watch him. And eventually, I thought it would happen last year, but I'm like, eventually Marion Horn got to be the guy that we thought he was going to be. And I'm hoping it's this year. But secondary is always going to be the concern. All right, mic drop, huh? You just.
I mean, there really isn't more to add. Is the opposing team's passing? Yes, I'm going to be clinched the whole time. But you do bring up a really good point that, and we kind of talked about it at some point in the offseason, that like adding guys like David Bailey and Romello Height, having that pass rush, the kind of like 1-2 punch of pass rushing, the less time we give opposing quarterbacks, because in the past it's been, oh, buddy, we have allowed some quarterbacks just to hang out and do their business, get cleaned up, and then make a pass. And I think if we, with this kind of like with this front line, especially the pressure we're going to be able to afford, it just creates an entirely different scenario for opposing quarterbacks. So the more pressure we can get on the front end of things, which, I'm hopeful with Shield Wood that we do a lot more complex packages like you started to introduce in Houston. And you talk about, you get nervous about new coaches and stuff. Shield Wood turned Houston around in one season.
Bro, let me tell you something. I'm a little more worried about Mac Leftwich than Shield Wood.
Yeah.
I think with Shield Wood, you're like, bro, I had nobodies over there. Did y'all see the guys I had to fill out in Houston? And I got them to play. If I got them to play, I can get anybody to play.
That's right. That's right. And so, even with some new guys, although he did bring Anthony Holmes over, don't forget, from Houston. But, even with new guys, like he has proven, Shield Wood is the guy who's proven, I'm going to make it work. I'm going to play to people's strengths. I'm going to take what you think are the weaknesses and make them strengths. So if he can't get the defensive backs to be all-star defensive backs, I trust him to take the other strong units and make it non-existent.
Yeah.
Make the defensive backs not necessary.
And that makes the secondary easier, right? Like a good example of this is the Philadelphia Eagles last year. So a lot of people were talking about how great the Eagles secondary was. They were great. I mean, especially considering that they had 2 rookies in the secondary in Cooper DeJean, your boy. But with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon, name escapes me now, but secondary guy, Quinyon Mitchell. So you had 2 rookies. Not supposed to be a good secondary, but they did have a great season, and the secondary did play well. But what helped that secondary play well was their front 7 was incredible. Like front 7 was incredible, so it's easier to play well when like the quarterback on the other side only has like 2 seconds to get rid of the ball, right? And so I think that's another strategy that Shield Wood has at his display, because like we talked about with the O-line, for the first time maybe ever, the D-line has depth. Last year, my 2 favorite D linemen were Charles Esters and Duda Banks. Yeah. They're backups this year. Duda Banks is listed as a 3rd string on the depth chart, right? Those are my 2 favorite D linemen. They're backups. I was giggling a little bit because there's a position that was listed on here, dog position, which is just the I guess one of the edge positions. But you're right. You have Romello Height. Let's start with the chart. Romello Height and David Bailey at those ends. Edge spots in the middle, Lee Hunter and Skylar Gill Howard. God bless anybody who goes up against those two guys in the middle. Like, imagine you're a running back and you're like, ooh, Kent goes to the middle. Lord Jesus, I gotta go to the ends. Ooh.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
The ends. Well, maybe if I kick it out to the ends and see if I can get to maybe that linebacker. Ooh, Jacob Rodriguez, Ben Roberts. No.
No.
So yeah, like so much depth in the D line. I mean, because after those starting four, you do have Charles Esters, you do have Duda Banks, you have Jaden Cofield, you have AJ Holmes, like you were mentioning before, Terrell Tillman, Chetto Ophelia. Like, and Ophelia was having a great camp too. Like, so these are back. Like the depth on this D line is incredible.
Yeah.
And then even the front six, like if we think about some of the other backups, we were talking about John Curry having a great camp. John Curry's backing up Jacob Rodriguez. Bryce Ramirez backing up Ben Roberts. So like now I think even those two guys, which I felt like Jacob Rodriguez and Ben Roberts played what felt like every snap last year. I don't think they have to as much this year.
Yeah.
And then as we kind of think about the other positions, the star position, which is kind of like a weak outside linebacker or nickel corner, up for grabs. Completely up for grabs. We don't know. And I think what's interesting about the star position, so all offseason we knew that it was a battle between Michael Dingle and A.J. McCarty. A name that popped up on this depth chart that's interesting, John Curry.
Yeah.
Who was supposed to be the backup to Jacob Rodriguez. And I've heard great things about his camp. And the fact that I now see him on the depth chart at the star position is almost like one of those things of like, you performed so well in camp, we got to find somewhere to put you. Like, we can't just have you backing up. And I actually think there's a good chance that he probably takes a lead in the star position. Right?
Well, didn't McGuire say that on Saturday at a small presser that right now he's just got to figure out a way to get Curry on the field?
Yeah.
That he just was in the practice he had like an interception and two huge open field tackle. I think the big thing about what's been impressing the staff is that his ability to tackle in the open field, which is really why they're like the star just makes a whole bunch of sense then, because then we can float you out there and we don't have to worry about, hey, they got kind of a skill guy coming up against Kurt. Okay, fine, whatever. Open field tackle, he's got it. Like he's built a lot of faith around that. And so I say, man, if he's going to fit that position, put him in there, because he's been kind of like vying for like where is my right fit. And so if this is where he's really thriving right now, oh, dude, definitely. Like, I have no problem with that.
And you can flex it, right? If you need a nickel corner in that position, and so you say A.J. McCarty, hey, it's third and an eternity, put A.J. McCarty in so we can have that extra nickel guy. If it's an obvious passing situation, or if Curry's getting dinked and dunked by a star running back, hey, let's mix it up there. And I think having him and Dingle right there will help there. And then, of course, in the secondary, like I mentioned before, Bryce Pollock, Brendan Jordan, Cole Wisniewski, and then at the other spot, Amir Boyd or Marion Horn for that other corner position, which, again, this was the year I was hoping Marion Horn would kind of take it and be one of the leaders in the secondary, but you're over here in a camp battle. Secondary, low light. I mean, you're going to have those five guys in the secondary, right? Oliver Miles is also decent. Peyton Morgan, if you all remember him, 4-star corner from a couple years ago, he's also on the depth chart. So him and Miles are there. Young guys, we'll see what they can do there, right? Malik Esquera, another young guy. Luke Diggins, like it's just a very young secondary if any of these corners or DBs go down. So definitely something to be a little nervous about. Speaking of nervousness, so I don't really go into special teams very much. I'm not too worried about our return game. Like Micah Hudson, Jacoby Williams, Roy Alexander, they gonna kill it, right? I'm not too worried about that. It's three very versatile, very athletic, very strong runners, right? I don't really care who our long snapper is. One of my biggest regrets in high school is not learning how to be a long snapper. I helped when I was a senior in high school. I helped like mentor the sophomore, like, annoying little kid, right? We were both DNs. So I'm like, I'll take you under my wing, young buck, right? He ended up getting a scholarship to University of Maine, not as a defensive end, but as a long snapper. And I was like, you know what? You're so much smarter than I ever was.
That's right, man.
I should have been
It's a
taking.
position nobody talks about enough, but it's like if you have a kid that's going to go D1, I want you to be a long snapper kid.
Yeah, man. I should have been taking notes from you. You got it. So Ryan Vagana, I should be taking notes from you. But the main, I bring all this up to say this: Jack Burgess is going to be good at punter. We have no idea who our kicker is going to be. The kicking is going to be rough. Listen, this year, Joey, go for it. 2nd and 20 from the 21, or 4th and 20 from the 21. Hey, go for it, buddy.
Just try.
Go for it, brother. I don't even. So we got Upton Belafonte from Buffalo. He transferred over, and I think we had our fingers crossed, hoping like, he's gonna be good, right? Stone Harrington was here last year. He's gonna be good, right? Ian Hershey, I don't even remember where he came from. He's gonna be good, right? Ugh. So kicking is gonna be an issue. I think Belafonte will probably be the guy we see the most, but or Belafonte, how do you say his name? Belafonte. Belafonte sounds better. So Upton,
crisp, nice.
Upton, I know you listen to the pod because of course you are. Your whole team is. You're probably having a group party right now listening to this pod as y'all are all fans of the pod. Upton, just go by Belafonte. It's pronounced. It's spelled Belafonte.
It's
so
better.
I'm sure it's Belafonte.
We'll sponsor your name change. We'll pay.
Belafonte would make field goal kicks. I'm just throwing that out there. That's what we're gonna do. If he makes kicks, he's a Belafonte. If he misses them, he's a Bella fan. That's how we're gonna separate it.
You don't want to be a Bella fan?
You want to be a Bella fan. You want to be. So a little bit of a worry there with special teams. So Jeremy, before we kind of get into the predictions, we got to go into Texas Tech schedule because really it's easy to make a prediction, but you got to make a prediction knowing the teams and the games we're going to play here.
Oh, you did not even mention that our return games, that kick return will primarily be Micah Hudson now. That was a move. And that really is that's the only big thing right now.
He was – so Micah punt return last year a lot.
Yeah, but I mean, what did that amount to?
Yeah. I'm very. I think, and that change. I think, if I remember correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that change is to keep Jacoby's legs fresh now that he is more of a primary running back. Because Jacoby was supposed to be the main returner, but now we need him more in the run game. So, so we'll see what Mike. I mean, Mike is a dynamic player, so to see him out in the open field, I'm happy for it, especially since he's not technically starting as a receiver. So yeah, I'm all about it. And I do think Jacoby will still be out there when needed. So let's get to the games. First big test of the season, Arkansas Pine Bluff. Did we pencil that in as an L or what?
You got to start the season off strong with an L to really calibrate.
Really, right? Really knock us off.
I'm actually surprised this is a 6:30 game. I'm really thankful for that. Night game to kick it off. Feels good.
Oh, aren't most of them usually 6 o'clock if it's not national televised?
No, not always.
So 6:30 in the Jones. The drone show. That largest drone show
wants to see
ever. Right? One thing I do respect about Texas Tech, they're like, listen, we're either going to be first or the biggest. We ain't first, so we're going to be the biggest. Okay? One of the two. We're going to put our name somewhere.
I can't tell you how excited I am for this damn drones. I'm going to go get a corn dog and a beer just for this drone show.
There you go. So I think we're all good on this W here. Then we follow that up with the Kent State game. That is on TNT, so that's cool. Jeremy, what I really want to see here, you know what I want to see here in both of these games? I want to see Mitch Griffiths.
Effort. Yeah. Oh,
I want to see
that's
Mitch
right,
Griffiths.
buddy.
That's what I want in both games.
Deep. Let me see the depth of the depth chart.
Yeah, exactly. In both games, I want to see Mitch Griffiths. That means that we have won both games by 40+. That would make me happy. That would make me confident in this team. If we don't win by 40+ against Arkansas Pine Bluff, it's going to be a problem. Kent State is one of the worst teams in FBS, but at least they're FBS, as opposed to Arkansas Pine Bluff, who's going to struggle in the SWAC this year. But at both games, I want to win both games by 40+. Before we go to Oregon State. So now this is the first test of the season. Now it's a home game against Oregon State. Oregon State, who should be better this year than they were last year. They should be. They should be a better team this year. They're going to be vying.
We'll see.
Is this the? And now I feel stupid. Is this the first year the Pac-12 is back, or is this still Oregon State and Washington State?
This is the second year that Pac-12 is officially.
Well, no, I mean with like Boise and all them.
Well, yeah, with all the rest of the additions, yeah, this would be the first expanded Pac-12 year.
Okay, yeah. So and they should be competing for it. They're better this year. So don't sleep on the Beavers. All right.
I ain't sleeping on them. I will say they had 5 wins last season.
Yeah.
And one of those was a double overtime against Colorado State. They could be improved, but that's still a dub for me. At home? In the Jones? Yeah, no, they I don't think they won a single real away game last season. San Diego State doesn't really count because they're buns too. So, yeah, I'm not thrilled by the Beavers. They can be better. But if we lose against Oregon State, this season is over.
Woo, yeah, pack it up. Pack it up.
Pack it up, buddy.
Pack it up. I don't listen. Last year, I was nervous about Wazoo right when we started. I know everybody likes to overlook teams, and Wazoo was one of them that I didn't feel comfortable about us overlooking, and I was proven right. Very rarely do I overlook a team and they prove me wrong. I think Wyoming, for example, when we lost to them, I thought that would be a tougher game than people thought, but I still thought it would be a W. I don't think this will be a tougher game than I think. If this team is who I think they should be, this should be at least a 3-touchdown win.
Yeah.
If this team is who I think they should be, it should be at least 3 touchdowns. We should be comfortable in the fourth. I'll put it that way. We should be comfortable in the fourth. All right, now to get to some uncomfortability. I'm glad that we play Oregon State before we play Utah because at least there'll be another team that has a pulse that we play before we play Utah. But in Salt Lake City, this Utah team is a team that when the schedule first came out, everybody was like, we get to beat up on Utah. And the first thing I said was, I don't know. Then they got Devin Dampier, and I said, I don't know even more. Then everybody else kind of caught on, and now Utah's back to being respected. Jeremy, is this a W or an L?
Man, this is a tough one to kick it off. I'll be honest, that week before, I'm going to be watching because they play Wyoming. I'm going to be watching that game. I think they're at Wyoming. I'm going to be watching that game because I'm going to be thinking about the time we travel to Laramie, see how they deal with the altitude. Because then they come home and face us, which 3-0, probably top 20. I think you'll scoot up out of that 23rd position, scoot into like 18, 19, mostly because people recognize Oregon State. And so that should get us some confidence. But I think that this Utah team is not improved, just not concerned about what's his name. God, what was that quarterback's name?
I've been trying to remember for like 2 weeks now. I can't
Buddy, Cam Rising? No.
Cam
was it right? Cam Rising?
Yeah.
Goofy. But he was the source of the issues kind of for their stability and their ability to – the defense was great for Utah last season. The offense was absolute buns because they couldn't figure out how to make it work. And so it's the same team, but a little better because they don't have to worry about it. They've had QB1 all offseason. They've got a good coach. It was an abnormal year. And I would not tell a Utah fan that to their face because they've been so obnoxious. But it was an abnormal year for the Utes. So it's going to be a great game. I really hope we win. You do not inspire any confidence in me at all, ever. And we're going to the game. And so I thought first game went to NC State, we lost. Then we went to Arizona, we won. Which means we're probably going to lose against Utah.
If I pick a game for us to go to, we're going. I don't think we're winning that game, and I don't think we're winning this game either.
I don't think we're going to win against Utah. I think they will surprise everybody.
Well, then again, I mean, listen, this will be the third time we've done it. The last 2 times, I didn't think we would win either game. We did lose the first, we won the second, so it's a 50-50 shot.
Yeah,
50-50 shot.
It's a 50-50 shot, but I'm not confident because it's a road game. It's a really good road game. I expect Utah to be a lot better, and we are going to need a punch in the mouth if we're going to get serious. This team needs something to rally behind, and a loss is the right thing to do that.
Yep. And I got this as an L right here. I think Utah is going to bounce back. They're going to be good. Now, Utah will have a few L's of their own. I don't think they're going to be back in Arlington. But I do think this will be a tough test and something that you're right. We're going to just be hit. And the sky will be falling, of course, as it always does at Texas Tech once we're 3-1.
We wasted our money. Yeah. It's going to be.
At Houston.
Dub. Always a dub with those losers. I don't care about that team. I don't care how much they try to make this rivalry work. You're losing.
So I'll say this about Houston, right? So the head football coach over at Houston, Willie Fritz, came from Tulane. And Willie Fritz, every year that Willie Fritz has, he has a bad first year and a pretty good second year. Now, pretty good is relative. If Houston makes a bowl game, I would say that's pretty good. I do think Houston's going to be a lot better than they were last year. I think if they still had Shill Wood, I'd be even more confident they'd be better than they were last year. But it's no doubt that the University of Houston Cougars are tired of being losers. I'll say that. They're tired of it. And it reminds me a lot of 2016 when Texas Tech went to the Elite Eight for the first time in basketball. And it was almost like the other boosters were like, man, this is really fun. This is really cool. And then 2017, we went to the Final Four, and it was like, we need more of this. We need to do this more often. And then it almost made them invest in everything else. It made them say, okay, well, what about, all right, soccer, you're winning too? That's crazy. Track, you're winning a national championship. That's awesome. What else can we do? And so it's almost like that's what's happening in Houston as well. Men's basketball goes to the Final Four, comes a terrible collapse away from winning a national championship. And now attention is being put on other things. I mean, the women's soccer team just beat Texas, which if you've watched Texas soccer the last couple of weeks, it's not a huge accomplishment. Texas soccer is really bad right now. I know Houston Cougar fans were very excited, like, oh, we're great, we're back. Texas just lost to somebody terrible like last week. Like they're really bad right now. Anyways, so I say all that to say I do think Houston football is going to be a little bit better. And as me, somebody who takes a lot of joy in hating on the Houston Cougars, I do think I think they're going to a bowl. I think I'm gonna say that they'll go to a bowl. They'll be 6-6, which is more than I think I've been willing to say for Houston recently because I think Willie Fritz is good. It reminds me a lot of Lance Leipold, just wildly old. I know what works type of pedigree, pedagogy. And so, but one of them 6 wins ain't gonna be here, right? It's gonna be a home. It's gonna be a home game, as far as I'm concerned. Or at the very least, a neutral site for Texas Tech fans. And so, actually, I'm looking right. Hey, Tech fans, is this thing on? According to ESPN, you can get tickets as low as $60 to that game. Go ahead and run it up. Run it up. They don't know what they done did. Run it up. Get it now while you can. All right, next game. Home against Kansas.
Kansas is a little bit scarier. Also, Houston plays Oregon State the week before us, so I will be watching that one too. Just for comparison reasons. Kansas a little bit more dangerous this year. They had a really good game against Fresno State. Not that means much. I will say Kansas, pretty poorly disciplined team. They punished themselves a lot in that Fresno State game. Almost 9 or 10 penalties, almost 100-something yards of penalty, which just will not fly in the Big 12 unless you're both doing crazy stuff. But Kansas is slowly getting more dangerous. Love their investment in their football facilities. That is a team that's like, you know what? I realize that we have been the butt of the joke for the Big 12 for so long, and we have no anything to stand on for a long time. But we're just going to go ahead and dump all this money like Texas Tech has. And their facilities look great. I like it. I like the additions. I like their rooms that they redone everything. Looks good. And I think the team's really fired up about that. They did blow Fresno State out of the water. Again, not a big crazy thing, but I think Kansas will give us a lot more run for our money. It will be a win, but I think it'll be a lot closer than Texas Tech fans will want it to be.
I agree with you. So this will be the toughest home game of the season. I actually do believe that. I think Jalen Daniels looked like Jalen Daniels for the first time in over a year in the Fresno State game. It is Fresno State. That is a really bad team, but I did mention before that was at least going to show us what Kansas is going to look like. And if Jalen Daniels is back to being a bad man, then they're dangerous in any game they play, right? And I was surprised at the lack of discipline because Lance Leipold usually has a fairly disciplined team, but that was also one of the problems they had last year. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there. I do think Tech wins, but like you said, closer than what people think it would be. At Arizona State.
I know we beat them last year. We beat them at home. I don't care if Arizona State's going to have to be seriously fraudulent for us to win this game. They're going to want that get back. They went all the way to the playoffs last season. We were a loss for them during the regular season. Like they're going to want a little bit of respect. So traveling on the road against Arizona State, you may be a little banged up after the Kansas game. I think you're at 5-2 here. I think you lose that game against the Sun Devils.
We have 5 road games this year.
Yeah.
In terms of difficulty, I think this is number 4. I think this is a dub. Arizona State does not scare me. I'm sorry, they just don't. I think they. Screw it. This tortillas and takes. They're this year's Utah.
Ooh. That's crazy.
They're this
Can you imagine
Utah.
that turnaround?
Yeah, they're this year's Utah. Now, mind you, I don't think they're going to be as bad as Utah was, right?
Sure.
I still think they're going to have a winning season. I still think they're going to be. But we talked about it last part. I don't believe in this team. I don't believe in this. Like, the coach is fun, but it's a lot. Sam Levitt, how much were you carried by Scatterbo? Like, how much was all this?
Yeah.
I don't think they're that talented comparatively. I don't think they're as talented as Tech. I don't think they're as talented as Baylor. I don't think they're as talented as Kansas State, Iowa State. Like, I don't see it. I'm sorry. So I do think this is going to be a Texas Tech victory. I think it'll be similar to the Arizona game, except without the scare at the end. So next up, Oklahoma State.
Dub. A dub.
Yeah.
And that's all I want to say, just out of respect for Stillwater and the fans that, this is a win.
I got no respect for them. That's a W, buddy. That's a top.
Your team is buns.
Get out about our face. That's a win, son. Especially at home. Yeah, come on now. Get out of here. All right, at K-State.
This one's interesting for me. I actually switched it up with this. I thought it was going to be a loss. And then I watched them play Iowa State, and I watched Matt Wells do what he do best. And that is run an offense into the ground. I was like, man, I think we're going to win that game in Manhattan if Matt Wells is still coaching on that team, So I do think it's going to be a win. I do. I think it's too late in the season for us to be making mistakes with this roster. I'm excited. I think that'll be a nice win in November.
Listen, let me tell you something. I made my predictions, and I got to stick with them. I cannot let a week 0 contest sway me. But, buddy, if you remember, I chose K-State to go to the Big 12 championship game. And I'm watching that game, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Not that team.
Well, because remember what I said in the last pod was that I thought that Avery Johnson took a lot of steps in strides in being a passer. And that him taking the steps of being a quality passer combined with his running will make him a dangerous quarterback. And 2 things happened in that game. He didn't run because his new offensive coordinator didn't really have a lot of design runs for him. He took the most athletic quarterback in the Big 12 and said, you know what? Pocket passer. So, fun. And then he still can't throw.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about it is some K-State fans are box score watching, and it's like, oh, why is everybody talking about Avery Johnson? Like, look at his box score. He actually had because even the box score, I was like, oh, wow, that's box score actually looks pretty nice. Had a 65% plus completion percentage, over 200 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, no turnover. You're like, man, what are y'all talking about? Then you watch the game, and you're like, oh my god.
Disappointing.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. I mean, his throws weren't accurate. There was no velocity on the throws. There was no touch on the throws. Fourth quarter, he did play a little bit better, so there's something to be said as far as maybe he was a little hurt or whatever beforehand. But yeah, it didn't look great. So now I'm questioning things. But I got to stick with what I said originally. I'm not going to switch up. I had Texas Tech losing this game before. I'm going to still have them losing this game because it's part of our origin story, or our villain story. Right? Because remember, I said I thought we would lose in the regular season and then win in the Big 12 championship. So I'm gonna keep that going. And so with that being said, we have two more home games: BYU and UCF. Do we have any trouble with either of them?
No Ratzliff, no loss. I think we went against the Mormons, and UCF. I don't think will be improved enough to be really,
Yeah, Ratzliff is going to really test to see just how important a good quarterback is because they're going between a guy that would have been in the running for one of the best quarterbacks in the conference to now their new guys are one of the worst. I mean, we haven't seen him yet, so who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. But, and this team's not great. The team's not great. So, so just like I think Utah's going to be the team we thought they might have been last year, I think BYU will too, just in opposite directions. And then UCF.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, thanks for showing up. And so, at West Virginia, what are your thoughts here to end the season?
Never liked playing in Morgantown. I never liked playing in Morgantown, but I do think so. If we are keeping tabs, that would have my record at 9-2 right now. That desire to get number 10, to have the double-digit 10 wins in a season. The energy alone, man. The energy alone around that game propels this team to victory.
So it's going to be very interesting for West Virginia. So by this point in their season, the Rich Rod 2.0 experience will go one of two ways. Either the team will start to gel and get it, or they're going to fall apart. One of the two. Right, I think it's safe to say. I think we all know West Virginia is going to be pretty bad to start off with. They'll probably beat Robert Morris in Ohio, but I'm sure. I have them losing to Pitt. I have them losing to Kansas. They probably usually lose to Utah. And what's going to happen is that they're either going to do what Houston did towards the end of the season. Houston started, at least defensively, looking a lot better. Right, offensively, the quarterback situation still wasn't really able to figure it out, but defensively, they started looking a lot better. So it's either that happens or they just implode like Oklahoma State did, right? But that's how the Rich Rod teams are going to go. I initially thought they would improve. I think I'm going to go towards the implosion because I don't think Rich Rod still has it. I don't think this is the same Rich Rod that was at West Virginia before. And so I think Texas Tech wins this game. But if they do catch it together, this is the type of upset that could really galvanize them. Another thing that could happen is that if they were to upset Arizona State the week before, that make me feel really good because then I'm like, y'all ain't doing it back to back. So for me, that also puts us at 10-2. And then, of course, we both talked about how they beat Kansas State in the Big 12 championship. How far does this team go overall?
So 10-2, and I'm still maintaining Kansas State, right, in the Big 12 championship. Although in my updated scenario, we sweep, which would be even more sweet. Get rid of a lot of Kansas State ghosts we've had over the past decade. But in the college football playoffs, I think that, the excitement and the talent of this team gets you past that first round. And we're up to the 12 teams, right? So
12 teams, no automatic bye this time for the Big 12
right.
But.
Yeah, I heard that. So I think you get past that first round. Depending on what the draw is, right? Because I don't, we could have some crazy opponent by that point in the season. But, I think you get past that first round. Do you make a natty? I don't know. I cannot, with any confidence, say yes, that you get to the game. And I cannot, especially with any confidence, say you win that game if you get there. But you get to the college football playoff this year. That is where my confidence is. And you may win your first game.
Baron, look at me. Look at the camera. All right. Now, Baron, I want you to go and study a film. Study film of one Max Duggan. See, Max Duggan was a simple man. He wasn't loved by his coaching staff, right? Just like you're not loved by a section of the Texas Tech fans. Hey, I'm calling it like it is, right? Some of the Texas Tech fans don't love you. Just like Max Duggan, coach, and Coach Cumbie didn't love him initially. He benched him. He said Chandler Morris is better than you. And you know what Max Duggan did when Chandler Morris went down? He just balled. won so many games that TCU had no business winning. TCU should have been a 7-5 team, and instead they were undefeated going to the Big 12 championship game, and they blew an egg like they usually do. But you know what they did after that? They beat Michigan in the national semifinals, went to the championship game. Now, when you're watching film, cut it off at this point. Don't watch the national championship game.
Be inspired.
But be inspired. Because behind you, Baron Morton, and your Max Duggian effort, we can go all the way to the Natty. Will we? No, we won't. But we can, under your Max Duggian effort, prove them all wrong. But, I mean, listen, let's put the banner down. College football playoff attendee. I'm going to the game. I'm going to every game. I will say that first round playoff game in Lubbock, Texas, will be worth $10,000. Like, that's going to be.
Yes, sir.
That ticket's going to. I wonder, do you think the tickets will still be free for students?
They will have, of course, probably an allotted $1,000.
But you have to pay still.
Yeah. No.
Like bowl games, they have a
because it's not a home.
It's not home. The bowl games, students get an allotment and it's cheaper, but they have to pay.
Yeah. I think that'll be the same case scenario. There's no way this school is going to let their first college football appearance lose that revenue. Are you joking me? Everybody, I'm leaving here with something.
Yeah, but if you're a student, you got to pay for it. Like, what, $100? Work extra shifts at Sam's West. You got to figure that out, buddy.
You got to figure it out. Yeah, take a loan. Sell crack. I don't care what you got to do. Steal it from a bum on the street.
Yeah, steal it from your rich roommate.
That's
Listen,
right.
all you Pikes and you Theta Chi's and all y'all, Connor, he has it. Connor has it. All right.
That's
alphas. Listen, alpha's always one alpha that got the money. That came. He's a legacy, right? Take it from him. Take it from him. Namdi. I'm sure there's a Namdi on the alpha chip. Take it from him. All right. So that'll be exciting. But great stuff, Texas Tech. If we do get to the college football playoff, would be absolutely amazing. Feel weird that we're both predicting it, which means that we're going 0-12. But it is what it is. Jeremy, anything else you want to say to the people?
We go 0-12. Insert crazy commitment here, right? Nope. We're finally here. The long-touted, long-awaited football season for the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Strap in. It's gonna be a wild ride. So
strap in. Football's here. In my opinion, the real season doesn't really start till Oregon State. But the first 2 weeks will be a lot of fun, hopefully. This week,
tune out.
Yeah. I expect to see a lot of fireworks this week. It's Arkansas Pine Bluff, a lot of drones, so that'll be a good time. And Labor Day weekend, great time to kick it off. I actually would have loved to be in town for the game. I thought about it, but then my daughter's soccer team had other plans. As we will be in the belly of the beast that is Austin, Texas, watching.
It's tough having a star.
11-year. Well, she's having 11-year-old girls play soccer. All right. That being said, Texas Tech's going to the Natty. For People's Champ, that is Jeremy Gillen. This is your boy, I'll be sure. 10 years in, and we predict the Natties here at the Tortillas and Takes podcast, part of the 1012 Network. As always, stay right, people.